Hello and welcome to Nowhere. I'm Trish, the creator behind Nowhere Novelties. For my first video and fitting for 4th of July, we will be making this red, white, and blue Milky Way tumbler. If you're ready, let's strap in and shoot for the stars. Okay, so we are starting out with a 20-ounce classic from Makerflow Crafts. It is spray painted in a flat white from Rustoleum. We are going to be using the epoxy method to glitter our cup. Epoxy method is just using about 5 milliliters or less of epoxy to adhere your glitter. We'll be using 2 glitters for the blue section. The first is Tiffany from Mr. Nola's Glitter, and the second is from Michael's. It's the Recollections brand, has fun shapes like stars in it, and it's called Cosmic. First, we're going to be taking that Cosmic glitter mix and just sprinkling it with our fingers to map out the section where we want our blue glitter. This blue section will be our focal point, so we want it wide enough to really stand out. We have enough room for all of our decals, but not take up most of the cup. And now we're gonna go in with that Tiffany glitter and saturate our section. The key to glittering a cup while it's turning on your turner is to have patience and don't chase the cup as it turns. You want to glitter as you can see the section, but then stop and just wait for it to come back around. So right now I'm trying to really get that line for each side of the stripe to be a little more crisp. Don't want it as jagged as it currently is. Now we're ready to move on to our red section, which is going to be using Boiling Mad Junior, which is the fine cut of this red, also from Mr. Nola's Glitter. We're going to line that blue stripe with a red stripe on each side, about the same width as the original blue stripe. I'm taking care to make sure my edges are crisp, but also allowing the turner to do a little bit of work in getting those sections to blend. For our white section, we're going to be using 2 glitters from the Glitter Heart Company. She Said Yes, which is this awesome chunky silver with a little bit of white mix, and also Polar Bear, which is a very fine glittered white. To start, I'm kind of gonna line the red edge with the She Said Yes, the silver glitter. I started out using it as the shaker, but I needed a little more saturation, so I took the top off and actually went a little heavier handed. But then you can see I put the shaker lid back on and went with a lighter hand for the middle of the section. Now we're gonna go in with the Polar Bear and just fully saturate that white section. For the bottom of a Milky Way tumbler, you can be as creative or as boring as you'd like. For this one, I'm going to be a little more on the boring side, so I'm going to untwist the tumbler from the turner so that I can apply just our white glitter, the Polar Bear, on the bottom of the cup. You can absolutely bring down your other glitter colors onto the bottom if you would like, but because this was a more simple cup with just the 3 colors of the swirl, I wanted to leave it just a nice crisp white. After a few coats of epoxy to fully smooth out your glitter, I sanded my surface down and I'm ready to apply my decals. I know it's hard to see, but I have 2 sizes of regular stars, stock photos straight from Cricut Design Space. And what I did was create an offset of these stars so that I would have the outline of the star and a solid star shape. So here I am placing either the outline or the solid star shapes within this blue section. They do sometimes go over onto the red section. I just tried to concentrate most of the decals in that blue section to mimic the American flag. I liked the more abstract feel that the combination of the outlines versus the solid shapes gave to this look of the cup, as opposed to a bunch of small stars like the 50 stars on the blue section of the flag. The thing I love about tumbler making is that you can take one small inspiration and put it on a cup in your own way. Now that the decals are on, we're going to move on to the Milky Way step of this process. I have about 15 to 20 milliliters of epoxy ready to go. I am going to put a little bit into 2 separate cups. This is going to be for our red and our white stripes for the Milky Way design. First things first, we want to coat our entire tumbler with epoxy. This has no glitter or additives or colorants in it. This is just our clear layer of epoxy like you typically would over decals. Now we're going to bring back those other 2 small cups of epoxy. These have less than 5 milliliters in them each. We're going to add white alcohol ink. I am using Pinata brand Blanco Blanco. For the red, I'll be adding in mica powders. These are Pearlex pigments. This is, I believe, Super Russet. It's not shown, but I did end up adding just a drop of red alcohol ink because this actually was more of like an orange red and it wasn't quite what I was looking for. So now we're just going to take our popsicle stick after mixing and drizzle that red epoxy with mica powder back and forth in our white section. I did add a few squiggles to the bottom of the cup to keep the look cohesive. Now, Milky Ways take a level of finesse that sometimes I cannot master, but you just have to go in, take your time, kind of reposition those squiggles and try to make them not look so exact and apparent. You want them to really look as organic as possible. Now we're going to go in with our white epoxy and add those lines to our red sections. We are also going to add a few lines into the white. That'll kind of give it more of like a cloudier effect, and it'll mix a little bit with those red stripes and give that traditional Milky Way look. You don't want globs or like really heavy sections. So you're gonna see me go in with the popsicle stick and kind of like, I want to call it flatten the section that I laid down previously. It helps create more of like, this is not the right word, but fluffier effect, if you will. Basically, it diffuses the lines, softens them up a lot, and makes it look like a Milky Way galaxy. You definitely will, with a Milky Way, sit there and watch it spin and mess with the lines more and more, but you do have to stop yourself. The more you mess with them, you're going to not have any more solid lines, and you do want some apparent lines. Trust your gut and don't get too heavy-handed with the popsicle stick. And that's it. Just a few more coats of epoxy and you get a beautiful 4th of July cup. Any questions? Leave them in the comments. I hope to see you again real soon. Bye-bye now.